I was fiddling with the sizes again. Anyway, this has gone fine. What am I looking at right now? Something in gradient button. All this can go, and this can go. This is not the way it works now. And this can go, and can go. Okay. So, where are the horrible big holes? I saw something there, and oops. I am really gonna have like a heart attack, I think. Okay. Get nearest. Oh, well. I figured that out, so forget it. I'll leave that there. Whatever that was, it's no more. Yeah, I remember that. And all this. And this. This is a sign that oops, actually I will not have that. Whatever it was, that little bit of stuff might end up being useful, because where on earth am I? I'm in image options, yeah. This is not a sensible thing, and nor is this. I'm just killing time as well, because I'm avoiding slightly thinking about the next thing. That turned out to be nothing. All of this. And this. These. No. And you. Nope. No. Nope. No. And no. No. And no. Oh, this must be inside work zone now. Wow, okay, yeah, so the code is kind of substantial now for such a little thing. It feels a bit substantial. Yeah, I'm going to leave those things for now. But boy oh boy, yeah, you guys can definitely go. Oh, heck, I'll leave tiny debugs. I will take that away. Okay. So the next thing is the gradient rendering approximation. It's a tiny, but it's a thing I want to get in. It's not going to be that convincing, but at least it'll be something. And what's it really got to do with? It's going to happen in the finished draw of work zone, along with so many things. But I do want to have a little think about how it works. Because the way that it'll work in the final render, oh man, you know what, I was going to say, I want to have a think about the way it works. I want to think, oh boy, do I want to do an entire gradient sample every frame? Because this is the, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to finish draw here. I'm going to go down to where I draw the preview curve, which is right here. So by this daft logic, I set up the blend mode. But really, I'll separate this into two. Will I? Yeah. Oops, yeah. And right here and now, I will do the logic. This hideous big function, you know, maybe I'll break it up. It would make sense to in some ways, and it would probably be easier to navigate. Yeah, it would, but on the other hand, I sort of feel like this is an efficient way to do it. I've got a little set of information I use to do all the calculations that are needed. And I can still change the order of it. Anyway, it's not really very good. I can't exactly defend it all that much. Here inside gradient, what I need to do is, based on the project, whatever it's called, position, preview position, derive paper, ink, color, pair to additively draw approximating this position's general color. So now the time consuming, like, depends what you mean by time consuming. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a gradient from the gradient set. And the way that I'm going to do it is, like, once again, like a foolish little trickster. I'm not going to do that. This will mean generating a gradient every frame, and not an easy gradient to generate either. A real bugger of a gradient to generate. And let me think for a sec. All I really am looking for here, it's just nothing. It's nothing for me to make a local. How many locals am I making? Plenty, really. For really bad reasons as well, because I couldn't be bothered typing vert radius a bunch. And that's all it is. It's not even sums. It's saving me typing. Stuff to save me typing. And a few others for when I'm doing loops. I frequently am localing I. Is that an okay thing to do? Should I just bloody local I at the start? These are the things that I start getting tied up in. Look at me, localing I. Like, okay, forget it. I'm localing I. I'm localing I once. And I'm localing it here. Is it an int? I can't remember. So everywhere I see I, and it's just a little thing like this, I can just say this. As long as it doesn't have another loop with I inside it and sound. Can you tell I'm deliberately not thinking about... Look at them all. I love I. Index. The vaguest indexing thing. No eyes. Okay. Well, for the purposes of this tiny thing that's going to be used right here, I will say local tg temp gradient equals project gradient set get gradient, yeah, get gradient project preview position, yeah. Now local do I like here I am going to be instantiating a pair of colors, and I'm not going to do that. I am going to go up here. I've got a temp color already. Do I ever use it? Probably. Global GPC. Ah man. I'm going to call it gradient paper color. Color equals new G color. Because I know that I need a color to fill with the results of a sampling of the gradient, and it's gradient ink color, G color. And I think I'm going to want to manipulate at least one of these. We'll see. Okay, so I got a couple of colors, and you know what? For what it's worth, no, I won't go that far. I was going to just make a reference to store the new gradient, but I won't be a total idiot. Oops. Okay. Gradient paper color. What do I want to do? I want to say temporary gradient, get color, set color, yeah, at 0.0. Oops. Yeah. And I want DG set color gradient ink color, and I'll go 1.0 I guess, but then I'll say gradient ink color. Do I have scale? Multiply by a value. Yeah, multiply by 0.2, say, and then say that's it. But I also have to set, I think that temp color I will use. I hope I'm not, I hope I haven't C blend and temp C set project ink color, and here I could actually just be using temp C. I should, but oh dear, I need to do this sooner, because here I draw the paper color. Shock, horror. Okay, so I do a little Here's your McGall. Gosh darn it. Okay. Man. So really, up here, or no, not way up there like an idiot. Here. Not there like an idiot. Shrink these things down. Round about here. I don't want temp color or grade PC color, grade IC color. In fact, I'll see if I can get rid of temp color and get in any trouble at all for it. What I want is paper color. And ink color. And then inside finish draw, right up here, I say paper color equals project and oops, I don't do that because I'm not so clever as to use that things overloading, operator overloading. Set project. These aren't structs. I'm not sure. I presume maybe I can use operator overloading on not structs, but I don't really want to go and spend time investigating that just now, although it would be useful. What's it? Okay. Or something like that, because actually I can set this up here. I can do it all up here. Makes sense too. That's just for this. So I can just X that out of there. And I do this up here. This has no right to be there, and this should be paper color, and this should be ink color, as should this. Okay, so now I set up the paper and ink color, and I set up the draw mode, and if it's of gradient type I modify the paper and ink color. And here, when I clear to the paper color. AV. And when I draw me preview curve, I draw it to my own ink color. AV. That is, like, this is a combination of the most elegant and clunkiest thing to do, in my opinion. It's meaning generating a gradient from the gradient set every frame, and that means doing a bunch of stupid things. Okay, I do need temp color. I will keep it. Sorry, temp color. I misjudged you. These two guys. No business. What was that? Oh, nothing. Is the debugger running? No, it's not. Will I just leave it like that and take my chances? Yes, I will. Now, what am I expecting to see? I'm expecting it may crash immediately because I think it might be on gradient mode because I was admiring the gradient fields. And if there's a bug in my code, then it's going to go straight into it and crash. If there's some problem with it. Not sure that there is. And I got the debugger off, so heck with it. At least it's just saved itself. Bless it. looking after my careless stuff. Okay, it's still in draw mode edition anyway. Well, that was something. Here we go. That's it doing it. The frame rate is not... what am I saying? Bloody FFmpeg's running again. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, 5 recursions, which is just exactly the frame rate. Well, it's not. No, this gets 60. That's why I go for this 5, 5. Is it would usually get 60. It's pushing 60 and FFmpeg is chugging. So I'm not too worried about the speed of that, even though I have to fix these windows so they stay on screen. Even though look at that. Doesn't really matter the way my things work, but even though, let's, I guess, put this to the test. I mean, I must admit, this just basically looks like it worked, and I don't have any real, assuming my code didn't crash, then what reason have I to disbelieve it? And it's going for so this deliberately low hey, actually I've just thought of something else. It's doing the line width from one of these. I've still got the line width on 2. I'm going to take it back down to 1. But the line width is staying constant. And I should probably not do that. I should probably give the gradient a line width of its own, which will be easy to do with a little structure I built now into Finish Draw. I'm basically calling this working. What can I put in here? Green. And this should be very dark green, but it is being drawn additively, so it's actually totally wrong. You know, it's just, in this instance in particular, it's like, it's totally wrong. And actually, when I think about it, I wonder if I've got a leak now. Still pretty normal. When I think about it, in some instances, it's like it'll work if your thing is designed to get brighter near the top. And let's face it, often they are going to be, because it's going to look strange if things don't get brighter near the top. But it basically, you know, is not going to be very highly representative. The frame rate's still pretty variable. I will test it with when FFmpeg is not running and see if I get 60, because it's just so hard to say. It's much. Yeah, I will test it with FFmpeg not running. The other thing is, the thing that I can do is I can force it to not generate a gradient, but to select the nearest existing gradient. I mean, this has 3 existing gradients from which all of this is drawn. The reason I'm so confident of this generating 30 individual gradients is because it just does it once in a while. It does it when I click a button, at no other time. And a problem with this is, well, it's just never very representative. It just isn't. And not only is it like, what's the word? Sorry, I'm getting distracted playing with it. My problem with it is that it the best the best sort of palette setups for gradient renders won't look the best to play with, and that annoys me a little bit. Frame rate crashing again, but I often, nowadays I do assume it's going to come back in a moment because of, like, I'm not hogging memory or anything. Something might be happening. Nah, not really. Is this going to give me a frame rate boost? Sometimes it does. Not today. Anyway. So. I need to think about some other things. I think that I will not reduce the I'm not going to scale it down so much. The value of the color that I sample from the gradient in here. I scale it down 0.2 and I'm just going to scale it down 0.5. It's going to have to do, I think. Should I do something like this with line thickness, so that when you're in gradient editing mode you always get a line thickness of 1, of 2 or something like that? Now I did not request that. That was shocking and mysterious. Okay. When I think about it, and the more I sort of look at it demonstrated, sorry. It's never going to produce something convincing, or something close even to what the gradient rendering is doing. So I don't know. Line thickness equals project line width, and if this is the case, line thickness equals a 2. And in here I actually use line T. Let's see. Now, it does bring me on to the next thing, because I don't know. Duplicate identifier. God damn you. Line T. Yeah, I've got it up there. I think I'm going to remove it from there. What? Hang on. Where on earth am I of? Okay, right. No, okay, fine. I'll come up with something else. It'll be called curve T. Good grief. And back down and finish draw. This becomes curve T. Curve T. If if I was very, very clever with finding a place, I'd be doing that. But perf t. Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I see this, I will test the speed of it with FFmpeg off. And if the speed of it's okay, then I'll leave it in, but I have a funny feeling I might end up just editing things in addition mode. Something I'm going to do soon is, or something, yeah, that's going to happen very soon, is changes to the way image rendering works, which will make it easier to produce samples or to look at samples. At the moment, it requests an image file name as it renders, before it renders. And that's too tedious, because most of the time what I'm doing is rendering an image to get an impression of what it looks like, you know, not necessarily to save it. So what I want is to be able to render an image, display it, look at it, discard or save it. So, I mean, that's what it reckons it's going to look like. That's pretty sort of lame, and I think it's far too bright. Okay. And it's just, it would look so much nothing like that at this point in the frame. And it looks the same the whole way through the frame, because at the top and bottom these things are equal. So it's a poor, poor imitation. And having no control over it almost makes it worse. It's like, I don't have to take it from the top of the frame. That's the other thing. It's like, where am I? I take the ink from here and multiply it by 0.5. Like I could still multiply it by 0.2, and I could take it from somewhere more like 0.6. So it's only part of the way up the gradient. But that kind of tweak, it's arbitrary really. It depends where the majority of your sort of where the majority of your heights end up. And still, this is going to be doing additive blending. It's just really a completely different thing. Ugh, wow. What can I do? Well, I do know what I can do. I can get some of my render code out, stick it back in, and figure out a way to approximate, you know, to say, okay, you can do 3 recursions of gradient rendering. Well, I mean, this example is more pleasant to look at. I'll give myself that, but and that is all it's doing. It's just sampling from down here somewhere instead. As I move through, yeah, it goes more red and white. Well, to me this is nicer, but that's just because it's changing color mode and it's pleasanter colors. But I think I will leave it at that for now. And I may have a message appear like one last little touch. 33 minutes. One last little touch is when you apply the gradient editor. Or even maybe when you select gradient mode, that's probably a better idea. Where is draw mode options? Response. Draw mode menu. I'll just do a little thing here. If e data int equals no, what I want to do actually say is draw modes e data int equals gradient int. What's T for? I'm assuming it's time. I've totally forgotten what T does, and now I've got to check. Where's new message? There. Message time equals T. 600. Oh well, okay, so you get 10 seconds or whatever you want. I say 10 seconds. It's however long 600 frames lasts. New message. Oh gosh, worktop preview colors. How do I put it? What's a way to put it which says, yeah, these are just bullshit, but I took them from your gradients at least. Did from I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say enter image for enter. Yeah, I don't know. There's no way of. I can't think of a way of saying this pithily. Right at present, animation position. It's not very sort of logical. And that's just the last little thing I'm going to do just now. I don't really know why I'm putting that there. It's a way of, I guess, kind of saying, look guys, I know this looks stupid. There's a purpose. It is to illustrate some of the choices you've made. Go to old edition. Yeah, I'm noticing it's going down 50, 55, 53. And that's not having to do the worktop I said review, colors selected from gradient set at present animation position. Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing alright. I said review instead of preview. Okay. So let's have a little last stuff before I go away. This got fixed. That got done. This, call it half done. Not done yet, not done yet. Rendering options, data buffer, array entry division, non-linear, linear, yep. Okay, well, that's another few things. And I'm just going to start sticking them on the top because can't be bothered splitting them between renderer and recursor now. There are others I want to do first. Play, pause, and speed controls. Suddenly realised there's no reason not to be able to play the thing, just to loop it round as you're editing it. Image view, image viewer rather than just requesting you provide a file name and assuming you want to save, there are a few things that would be nice to do with the image viewer, but it should at least be able to view full and scroll around one to one. View all, I should say. And view full size, scroll around. That's it should at least be able to offer that. Zoom if possible. Also, if possible, compare side by side. That's a couple of things. There are other things I'd like to say about that, which just I have ideas about the details about how that would work. I don't know about this one. Option to render 10 frames. Just to, because what I have found myself doing is flicking backwards and forwards through an animation, rendering individual frames to get an idea about how what the distribution of the color is like in different frames. And it would just be nice to automate that. But then, having said that, just rendering a 10-frame animation is not difficult. And if you accidentally render the wrong number, cancelling it's not difficult. So I'm tempted just to not do that and just say, if you want to know, just render yourself a 10-frame animation, and then render yourself 1,000 frames if you like it. So I don't know, it's probably not worth it. But I've got a fair distance through my list of things to do, and now I've got another little set, and they will start with I think, play pause controls, because those are easiest. And the image viewer is a little bit more difficult, but not much more. And then I'll be good to go. Well, not good to go, then I'll be good to move on to the next thing. And the next thing being just testing out those render modes. I mean, I did a load of stuff to the renderer and I got pretty sick of it. It's been a pleasure to come back and do a bunch of stuff to the GUI, but the renderer, and really there are a load of things that I was avoiding doing with the GUI, which I've now done and I'm fairly pleased with. See how little difference that made because of where I'm selecting it on that gradient. I'm selecting it around about here. It's just mainly red. It only goes green at the top. This is interestingly representative, but anyway. If I make this green, yeah, you get the green. Anyway. So, play pause buttons next time.